What is up, guys? Jake here with the next Vainglory hero build for you guys. Started with talking, now we're going to move on to a support hero. Someone asked me in the stream the other day, I was streaming Vainglory, said, if you had to say, this is the hero you need to learn, what would it be? What style? Would it be a laner? Would it be a jungle? Would it be a support? And no hesitation, I said support. You are going to be not forced, because no one can force you to do it, but you're going to run into way more matches when you're solo queuing or even when you're playing with other people to where they want to play lane, they want to play jungle, and someone needs to play support. And if you can get good with it, it is enjoyable. I mean, I like playing support, and probably my favorite is Ardan of those, so I wanted to show this. But guys, if you've never tried it, just start playing them. They're not that hard to play. You just have to think very selflessly. Know that you're not going to be targeted in team fights. You're going to be ignored, so everything is for your teammates. And if you keep that mindset, you're going to be in pretty good shape. I see it all the time when a Catherine or something like that get support like that, and all they build is damage and frostburn and all this crap that's for them that doesn't do a thing for the team. So just remember that, keep it in your head. Everything you do is for the team. Let's start off like we did last time with just the abilities. I always grab the A ability first. That is your Vanguard. That's basically a shield for your teammates. When you tap on it, it will open a circle. You can tap it on yourself, but you also can use it on your teammates, and that is going to give them a little bit of shield and movement speed and help them out in fights. So you want to get that first and get started. Then obviously you're going to go B, but bottom line is I max A and C. B is the last thing I do. When I have to, I do it. But A and C, that's where it's at. That's what's, again, your support, your team thing. The B ability does damage. It's nice. And every time you auto attack, it reduces the time on it. But just do not think of yourself as a damage dealer. Put what damage you can down, but don't get hung up on that for sure. When it comes to the build, I start off, obviously you're going to start off with an Iron Guard contract. I mean, that's what every support should start off with. Then maybe a Scout Mine, but usually I grab a couple potions. And then usually the first trip to the store, I will buy one form of defense. That's just going to let you, because if a smart team is going to a lot of times target the support early game, like the first little fight, you're weak, you're not as powerful, but you do still have some crowd control, and Ardan still has that Vanguard, which can absolutely change the outcome of a fight. So a lot of times they'll target you down. So I try to grab some defense. It may be if the jungle carry is going like a weapon power, I'll grab a light armor. But if not, which I often prefer that they don't, because it lets me start building towards my fountain, I will grab a light shield or maybe even an O card if it's split and I'm not worried about it. But regardless, the first time at the store, you buy yourself an O card or something like that and you move forward. Now, 90% of the time, I will build towards a Fountain of Renewal first. I'll build these, Light Shield, the Life Spring, the Tier 2, and then I'll grab my Fountain. The exceptions to the rule are if I'm facing a Cruel, I will rush Atlas Pauldron. And sometimes if I'm facing another Ardan, I will rush Crucible. Now, in my personal opinion, I don't care what composition you're playing against, what you're doing. If you are playing support, you need to buy a Crucible in a Fountain in every match. Period, the end. There's no exceptions. You need a Crucible and a Fountain. You need that reflex block for your team, and you need the Fountain of Renewal for your team. That changes fights more than anything else. Now, almost never would I recommend a support getting an Aegis. There are a few cases, if all of the teams go on Crystal Power and you've already got your reflex, or your Fountain and your Crucible, then yes, I would go ahead and get an Aegis. But that is the only time. If they're split, if there's weapon power and there is Crystal Power, your Fountain of Renewal is going to give you some of that. You're going to get 75 shield from that. You're going to get 600 health from your Crucible. That's enough. That's enough defense for that. Because again, you're not going to be targeted, guys. It's not about you. It's about the team. Almost always, I would go Atlas Pauldron over a Metal Jacket as a support hero. Again, same reasoning. Even if they're not going a lot of attack speed, you don't really need the extra armor because you're going to be the last person to die anyways, and it's likely not going to change the outcome of the fight, and this might save one of your teammates in turn of fight. So there are times when I would say, okay, maybe it makes sense, but most of the time, 90% of the time, Atlas Pauldron is what you want to grab on that. So Getting back to the build, I'm going to build probably the fountain first. Obviously, I'm going to grab a pair of boots as well. But then I'm going back and I'm going to get my reflex block, my dragon heart, and go ahead and grab that crucible. So from there, it's just about what other defense do I need. But don't forget about your utility. Either Warhorn or Contraption. Again, this is a situational thing. It's nice to get Stormguard Banner early on. Let's say right after, or maybe even right before, but right after your fountain, go ahead and grab that Stormguard Banner. That gives you a lot of damage. In early team fights, gives you a little health regen. It's not bad at all. It also greatly speeds up farming, so that's not a bad buy either. Contraption and Warhorn, it's totally a situational thing. I mean, if you're going against a Taka, clearly you want a Contraption. If you're going against like a Vox or a Kashka, I would grab the Warhorn because you've got to be able to chase them down once you get them hurt. So it's just a situational thing there, but one of those two things you're going to want to buy for your team. And then let's just say I grab a Contraption. Or let's say I grab a Contraption on this one, get it done. And probably 90% of the time, you're going to want at least a coat of plates because someone, if you're playing against a good team, is going to have you're going to have some weapon power damage. So you probably got your tier 2 boots by then. And what I'm looking at this point is I've done all I can for my team. You know what I mean? Now, the best thing I can do is put a little extra damage on there. And most of the time, I go breaking point. I'll go, you don't have the 2 slots to go both ways. So I go the attack speed. I buy my Swift Shooter, my Blazing Salvo, and then save up and go breaking point. I have heard of people saying that Aftershock is actually very, very powerful on Ardan. Probably because of the fact that you do get that cooldown. If you read the description of Aftershock, after using an ability, your next basic attack deals 15% of target's max health. Well, because your B ability is constantly resetting that timer, once you use it and you're attacking in a fight, you're attacking, it's reducing that timer. In a semi-long fight, you can get 2 or 3 of those off, and that's pretty big, So I can see that working, but myself, I guess it just depends on, what kind of fights you're having. If the fights are lasting a while, if the enemy team's gone more defense, or if they've gone really heavy offense and the fights are over, win or lose, they're over very quickly, that might determine which one of those you would purchase. But the very inline item for Ardan, I tend to buy some type of damage there. Again, most of the time Blazing Salvo into a breaking point, but just if I need it, or if it makes sense, and maybe they're building a lot of weapon powered defense because of something on your team's happening, you can go ahead and grab that Aftershock and slip by some of that armor that they've got there. So just again, it's all about counter building, watching what the enemy team's doing, what composition they are, how the fights are going. You've got to be reactive in this game, and you've got to build according to how the match is progressing. But in general, and you could almost use this comp for any support, but in general, that's what I do. I rush Fountain or Crucible or Atlas, depending on the team. But one of those 3 needs to be your focus. Then you want to grab probably that the Stormguard Banner. Then you want to get your second defense, whichever one you rushed, get the other one. Obviously, if you're going against a Cruel or something like that, go ahead and grab that Atlas Pauldron first. But from there, build in a little bit of more armor if you need it, unless they're all going crystal power. Then you want to just go ahead and go towards probably a kinetic shield and an Aegis eventually. And then that last item, just get yourself a little bit of damage. It might turn a team fight or 2. Clearly, the support row, vision's important. Pick up those scout mines, pick up those flares if you can. Keep your team aware of where the enemy team is. And you always go out in front. If there's a bush and you don't have a flare on it, you don't have a scout mine or something, it's your job to face check it. So go in there, check it out. Goes good or bad, it's up to you. And the key to playing a good Ardan is the gauntlet. I mean, the Vanguard and the gauntlet, that's it. I mean, yes, you got to drop your fountains, you got to drop your crucibles, but that Vanguard and that gauntlet can absolutely change team fights. So just playing, practicing, use this build. You're going to be, just a support player, but it is a fun build. It is a fun character to play. He can just take a beating for days, and sometimes you'll surprise people at the end, especially if you get that breaking point and get some stacks built up during a long fight, and all of a sudden they turn to focus on you, and you've got 8-10 stacks of breaking point. They can be in a lot of trouble. So check him out, guys. Hope you liked the build. Hope you liked the video. Until next time, this is Jake doing my best to help you guys suck less.